in GS paper 1, it would be 3 to 5. So can't leave. Rahul Mukesh sir. Today we will get independence for sure. Don't worry. Weekend, I think economics is there. I'm not sure. It may be polity or it may be. It should be polity, I think, in weekend. I'm not sure about that. You would have the year-long timetable, so you should be able to do it. Thank you, Anil. Irrespective of what editorial says, Netaji is Mohan Singh is the founder of the INA. Abhishek, because he was a little bit, he removed the Vernacular Press Act, he removed the concept of what we call as he tweaked the Arms Act, so he was considered a little bit better. I will tell you what is the strategy and everything I will discuss with you. Don't worry. I have with me this book also. I've brought it in class. So I have Bipin Chandra with me. I'll tell you what to do with this book. I will tell you everything today. Don't worry. I will close everything today. And that is the basic resolve for today. We have very small topics left. We only have to discuss cabinet mission, then interim government, thereafter Indian independence. And then we will move to small topics, for example, temple entry movement, Dr. Ambedkar, and then the acts related to or the commissions related to Indian civil services, then a major section on press. But thereafter, we will do previous year questions, both mains and prelims, both today. You, Arshin, you don't need anything as of right now because you don't need anything. We will, on Monday, we finish everything. Today, tomorrow, and Monday is the last class. Sorry. What do we do? About post-independence, so we'll be talking about linguistic reorganization, linguistic states, and we'll talk about official language controversy. We'll also talk about answer writing. I will discuss with you how these different things change. Okay, so can we start our discussion for today? The PPTs always remain the same for all batches. I remain the same for all batches, so don't have to worry in that sense. Okay. Now, what have we done till this point? What have we done till this point? So, Varna, only modern. When I'll be done with more ancient and medieval, I will give you master timeline. Okay. What is the meaning of dominion but outside Commonwealth? If you still remain a dominion, that's a separate issue altogether. Outside Commonwealth means you become a sovereign nation. Okay. Now, when we talk about what is the purpose of today's class is to give India independence, but we've come a very long way. We've come a very, very long way. We started with advent of Gandhi, then we went to Rowlatt, thereafter the concept of non-cooperation, Khilafat, CDM. Yesterday, we traversed another important set of issues. And what we were able to establish yesterday was that there are certain pillars of rule in India, and those two pillars basically are the army and the ICS. And yesterday we saw that how the RIN mutiny took away the army pillar of the state. And basically we started our issue with August offer. Once we were done with August offer, we went to Cripps mission. Then the basic point of the matter was we know that these both were planned in certain way that they are never acceptable to the Indian National Congress. Once we did Cripps mission, then we went to Quit India, and we understood the very unique nature of the Quit India movement, leaderless movement, but people knew what to do. And thereafter, we discussed the INA and its history from 1941, 42, 43, 44, 45, and thereafter the INA trials and the RIN mutiny, Royal Indian Navy mutiny. And the last thing we discussed was the fool called Wavell, and he dissolved the Wavell Conference over the issue of Jinnah walking out. Jinnah walking out. And this was seen as a Indian fate or Indian national movement fate being sealed, that there will be independence only with partition, because if viceroys are going to dissolve conferences, if one man walks out, then it made no sense in that sense. So now we have to understand a very important, we did individual satyagraha in between, we have to understand a very important concept, which is that there will be a major change, and the major change is going to be that, as I told you, in September of 1945, the World War II will be over. And once World War II is going to be over, the elections will happen in Britain. And in Britain, Churchill will be defeated. And in place of him will come a very good friend of Nehru, and his name is Clement Attlee. Clement Attlee basically was a Labour Party member and the Prime Minister of England when India did get independence. And Clement Attlee had a different type of orientation. Because Attlee is a Labour Party personality, and at the same point of time, in a way, Nehru and Attlee have the same type of understanding because of going to the Comintern, going to Russia to understand it. So therefore, the PM, Clement Attlee, now had a better resolve to give India independence. But there are also other things at play here with regards to the fact that Hitler had mostly destroyed London, and the British and the French were technically on the back foot. And back foot meaning literally on the back foot when it comes to generally the post-war era. And we see during this period of 1945, the rise of the Americans and the USA as the main important power, which was now going to take over or take its fight with the USSR. And the USSR and the USA emerge as two big powers who now wanted to dominate the world. The basic point was Britain and France were now more or less ruined, and they ceased to be as powerful as they should be or were before the war itself. And there is an American agenda to weaken the British further, because if they weaken the British further, they become the unmatched and unchallengeable leader of the Western world, of this world which is called capitalism. USSR, on the other hand, represents a totally different worldview, which is socialism. So it's about superiority. And Clement Attlee knew that now Indian independence was more or less inevitable. Now, if that was the case, his most important contribution was to first send the cabinet mission. Now, I need to discuss with you what is the cabinet mission and what are the provisions under the cabinet mission. But before I do that, I'm again trying to bring everything together, and I give you the master timeline today. You need to understand something, that Indian independence is a progressive change in world politics also and Indian politics also. And between 1940 and 47, what has happened is, from August offer to Cripps mission to cabinet to Wavell Conference to cabinet mission, the fact of the matter was that British could see that they could not hold on to India any further. And I will discuss with you, once I've done with cabinet mission, why 1947? Why is that we were given the year 1947 as the year of our independence? Because the cabinet mission had a totally different understanding in 1946. And I want to discuss, therefore, the provisions of the cabinet mission in that sense. Can we do that? Yes? Great. Now, when we talk about the cabinet mission, in February of 1946, 3 British cabinet members, that is why it's called the cabinet mission, will be sent by Attlee to India. Pethick Lawrence, he was the Secretary of State. For the first time, a Secretary of State of India had come to India. Cripps, Stanford Cripps, the same person who was basically the person for Cripps mission. And A.V. Alexander, who was the first Lord of Admiralty, basically a a military officer who was controlling the navy. And Patrick Lawrence, therefore, was the chairman of this mission. And the cabinet mission is very significant in that sense. The first thing which cabinet mission said, and which was technically absurd looking at the British, was that we will give you independence after 10 years. So the year which cabinet mission had decided was 1956. They said that Indian transfer of power will basically be after 10 years. 1946, 1956. Which technically doesn't make any sense because the British did not have the resolve to hold on to India for another 10 years. But hope is something. But what is the most interesting thing with cabinet mission is that the cabinet mission first says one thing. And see, Attlee did not like Jinnah too much, but Jinnah had now become too important. And you will see the elections are going to happen under the cabinet mission and what he will be able to do. But cabinet mission say, we don't want to talk to anybody. First, call Jinnah. Call Jinnah. We want to talk to him about this concept of Pakistan. Right. So, people said that cabinet mission, Patrick Lawrence is calling Jinnah. Jinnah now meets the cabinet mission in Shimla. And now they tell him, sit down. You've been talking about Pakistan, 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 conception of Pakistan, this Pakistan, that Pakistan. Viceroy at this point of time is still Wavell. Now they ask him, okay, now we are ready to, okay, if we are ready to give you Pakistan, where is this Pakistan? You've been talking about a separate nation for quite a long time, but where is this Pakistan? They said, this is Patrick Lawrence asking Jinnah, this is the map of British India. Tell us where Pakistan is. Where Pakistan is. Now Jinnah will sit there. He had never been asked this question. It's like you cry for something. You never thought anybody is going to give it to you. And now people are asking, where is Pakistan? Now he will sit there and say, that wherever there is the vote share of Pakistan, of Muslim League, or wherever there are Muslims which believe in Muslim League, they should be part of Pakistan. And now the map he comes up with is this. This was all green which you see is what he wants from in form of Pakistan. Now the cabinet mission says that, are you drunk or are you smoking something? Because what are you trying to give us here? Meaning wherever the pencil went, you just said, here is Pakistan, here is Pakistan, here is Pakistan, West Pakistan, East Pakistan, this Pakistan. Meaning Patrick Lawrence literally said that you are asking for a moth-eaten Pakistan. It's like there was a Pakistan and a moth or an insect ate it. So he's asking for Gujarat also, he's asking for whole of Northeast also, he's asking for whole of Western sector, he's asking for in between India, he's asking for parts of UP, he's asking for parts of Bihar, he's asking Sri Lanka also. Sri Lanka not even under the British. British said that how do we give you Sri Lanka? You are asking for something which is not even under us. So you are asking for Maldives, Sri Lanka, Andaman Nicobar Islands, whatever. It's like a child sitting there and scribbling green color wherever he could do it. And then in between you asked it. Now cabinet mission literally said to Jinnah, see, we don't think that we can give you Pakistan. Because either you don't know what you want and what you're asking for is basically everything. So I can't have multiple Pakistans at this point of time. And you can't have not even geographically connected Pakistans. They asked, okay, how will this Pakistan interact with this Pakistan? There is no continuity. So he said that I want a corridor which will go in between. So they said that you want an international road between India only. So he did not know, and the cabinet mission literally scolded Jinnah. They said that you have lost your mind and you literally have no idea where you actually want Pakistan. Because if you go with your vote share also, and this is what Patrick Lawrence said, Patrick Lawrence said that neither are you in majority here and neither are you in majority here. Not what is called in the northwestern province, not even in the northwestern frontier province, not even in Bengal. Here you have Fazlul Haq, there you have Khiz Hayat Khan. So I don't know what you want. So basically, the most significant thing which the cabinet mission did was that it said it's outrightly rejected the demand for Pakistan. It said it will create it will create proper destruction in India. It will lead to people dying. You are asking for places where there is still substantial population of Hindus. You have no understanding of what you want, and you should technically first go and wash your face and understand what you're asking for, because you don't have any idea what you're asking for. So Attlee was told, Attlee was in shock, and basically now one thing was clear, that Jinnah was holding power, but he didn't know what to do with it. Because they all are meeting every day. They will have direct action day. Pakistan we want. And where is Pakistan? What do you want? That is the basic point. That where do you get Pakistan? And this is why they outrightly said rejected Pakistan. They said, when you have the idea totally in your mind, go back, do your homework, and when you come back, then you tell me where you want Pakistan. So they outrightly rejected the clause of Pakistan. However, till this point, cabinet mission is okay. Till this point, cabinet mission is okay, because after this, the cabinet mission has literally dangerous concepts. So now can I discuss the dangerous concept within cabinet mission, as much as Attlee wanted to make it go forward. But I hope that you understand the absurdity of Jinnah. You now should be clear that basically Jinnah had no idea what he was asking for. So Pakistan was as much as an accident, and where it is today, as much as Jinnah wanted something. It is just asking for something, that I want this, I want this. You thought you will never get it. Now somebody is offering it to you, so you don't know what you can asking for. So basically, Jinnah is somehow totally lost about Pakistan. Not an issue. Now, if there was an examination, he was for sure failing it. Now, the next two clauses of cabinet mission are problematic. And the next two clauses are basically, first clause is that the cabinet mission said that now that we rejected Pakistan, we will create three types of provinces. We will create three types of provinces. The first type of province will be called Hindu majority province. Then the second type is going to be Muslim majority in West and Muslim majority in East. So they basically divided all of India into three parts, which is one which is Hindu majority, the other is Muslim majority, but in West and in East. Now till this point also it looks okay. It looks okay-ish. But the most dangerous clause which technically cabinet mission proposed was that when India will be transferred power, or when a responsible government will be given power, after the first general election, provinces will have the option to leave India. So if they don't like, they leave. And if that was not enough, after 10 years of independence and general election, again the provinces will have option to leave. Now the INC said that what are you trying to do here? You're technically giving us a bomb which first explodes after the general election and then after 10 years again explodes. So what the cabinet mission is technically proposing is that we will form an interim government, elections will happen, and the elections will happen in 1945-46 rather. And the concept was that once India will be given independence, you hold the first general election. Now, if nobody likes first general election, maybe United Province wants to be a separate country. Maybe Central Province wants to be a separate country. So there is this partition clause, not in the form of Jinnah, but now provinces can exit the union at first instance when the first general election happens. And the second is after 10 years, again they will have an option to leave. Now, basically, this is technically like selling a life insurance policy. That you first general election, you don't like it, you leave it. Then when you don't like it again, after 10 years, you review, you leave it. This is literally absurd. This is called the absurdity of the cabinet mission, and the cabinet mission itself did not realize it. And that is why it is not a coincidence that obviously Jinnah is going to reject the cabinet mission. His technical, literally, he was humiliated. Bejti ho gaya. Now, second was that Congress, very, very simply, were not ready to accept it, because what the Congress was saying is, why are you giving these provinces so much power? Why are you always obsessed with this Cripps mission type of mentality? And that is why Stanford Cripps was there. That you leave. When you want, you leave. When you want, you leave. Now, in a way, though Attlee was genuine, again, this is designed to technically destroy India eventually down the line. So, cabinet mission, first clause is we will give you independence in 1956. Second clause is that they reject the concept of Pakistan. Third clause is that they were trying to give us 3 types of these provinces. But it is the fourth clause which is the most problematic, that you can leave the union twice. And though the cabinet mission was rejected, the interim government will actually be formed under the concept of cabinet mission only. So Attlee was like, we'll see if we want to implement this option, but we will go forward with the concept of cabinet mission. And this is why, as you can see, be it August offer, be it Cripps mission, or be it cabinet mission, or be it Wavell plan, all 4 were technically designed to fail. And that is the basic point. That is the basic point. All of them are designed to fail. So, when we look at the provisions, whilst the concept of Pakistan was fully rejected, the logic was given that Pakistan so formed would include large number of non-Muslim population, 38% in Northwest, 48% in Northeast, and the very principle of communal self-determination would claim separation of Hindu majority Western Bengal and Sikh Hindu-dominated Ambala from the Punjab itself would literally lead to deep-seated regional ties to be disturbed. They said that there's no way to dissect Punjab, because in Punjab there is Muslim population in both sides. Mountbatten is going to ignore this fact But cabinet mission till this point was making sense. Jinnah was technically told what you're asking for is not possible. But it is from here that the cabinet mission starts to become problematic. So partition would entail economic administrative problems between communication between West and Eastern past, and in place of that, three types of provinces were actually proposed. Hindu majority provinces like UP, like United Province, Central Province, Bombay. Muslim majority provinces, for example, Punjab and Northwestern Frontier Province. And Muslim majority in the East and in the West. Till this point, it still makes sense. However, now will come the problematic set of the issues. Each group would form a separate constitution for their province and will collectively make the constitution. Now, this is a problem. Basically, there will be three constitutions which come together to form one constitution. The Constituent Assembly will be formed by provincial assemblies via proportional representation. Okay, no issues. Princely states were free to join the interim or remain with the British. So they are saying that you can have British India, but we will leave princely states being dominion of the British itself. A center with common defense, communication, external affairs. But now comes the most interesting and problematic aspect. After the first general election, a province was free to come out of a group, and after 10 years, a province was to be free to call for the reconsideration of the group or union constitution. Now, this is basically what is called the partition clause. The partition clause, because it is technically a problematic aspect of this existence. A problematic aspect of its existence, that basically the way cabinet mission was thinking about India was also nonsensical. So if you look at the clauses, the basic point of the matter is it is problematic. What is the issue, Sonam? The basic point is that in a way, this whole sector, this whole process is all nonsensical. So simply, Congress will reject it. They said, we are not waiting for 10 years. Firstly, this grouping concept is absurd. Absence of elected members from princely state. Obviously, League will reject it, and the grouping should be compulsory, and it should not be three constitutions, but one constitution. Now, this is what technically they had, which is take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. So, first general election, a province can reconsider its position. After 10 years, it can again reconsider its position. Simple point is, this is a very messy system. And I think you all can understand that there is already an underlying lethargy or a basic way of making India not work. Basic point is, the British don't want India to work. The Britishers, even if they want to give us independence, they are putting time bombs into India. That, okay, if they don't destroy themselves now, they will destroy themselves 10 years from now. And this is something which is absurd in the larger context of our existence. Why? Because they know that an India which is strong, and you see, now there's an Indian Prime Minister or an Indian origin Prime Minister in UK. If that was any way satisfactory to us, the fact of the matter is, this is why the British never wanted a strong India. Because a strong India is a superpower. We as Indians are a force. So they wanted to make sure that there is some form of discord within the whole structure so that India explodes after a point. And this is why the cabinet mission is still considered problematic. So are we clear why the cabinet mission is considered problematic in the larger perspective, and why the clauses of the cabinet mission are also not something which were too happy or too good in the larger context? Yes? Everyone, can we accept cabinet mission clauses? Very good. Now, what will happen is that there will be the elections in 1946. There will be the election in 1946. This will be based on cabinet mission's resolve for creating an interim government. Now, as I said, the last major, so the cabinet mission is rejected. But the Congress rejecting the cabinet mission is like me rejecting for example, the president's tea. It doesn't really matter. So the British, in a way, still will go ahead with this plan as much as the INC says that we don't accept it. We don't accept it. So please understand one thing. We saw August offer. Problem is mainly Indians. We saw Cripps mission. Problem is partition clause. We saw cabinet mission. Again, the problem is the fact that it has certain time bombs in it, which is India can get destroyed at any given point of time because these groupings were technically never going to work. Are we all on the same page? Then I discuss this election, interim government, and then I talk about 1947, where Mountbatten is going to come to India. Yes, Harshita, in a way. Okay. So, now the last major election which we saw was 1936. INC held close to 86 to 90% of the vote share of non-Muslim constituency. We'll talk about Dicky Bird, don't worry. We'll talk about Dicky Bird and all. And the most shocking aspect was, ISME plan it is called, was 3% vote share of the Muslim League. Muslim reserved seats. However, communalism in India had come a very long way. And in these 10 years, the Lithgow policies had promoted the Muslim League. And as it is, the Wavell plan confirmed to us that Muslim League now holds power. And it's all basically holds power. Now it's all basically British centric politics. It is the British who created Muslim League as an opposition to the INC. Now, the Muslim League's propaganda in this election was really bad. It had certain slogans. For example, if you don't vote for Muslim League, then you will never be buried in a Muslim graveyard. Middle class Muslims had now started to support Muslim League itself. The communal violence which was happening was also leading to more discord. And though none of the top Muslim League personalities were proper practicing Muslims, such as Jinnah, and the more orthodox Muslim, for example, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad was with the INC, these what we call as technically not proper orthodox Muslims also were talking about orthodoxy. So the Pakistan agenda had now become so big that now people had to take sides. And this is why in this election you will see that now that communal discord could be seen. While the Congress got 91% of all non-Muslim votes, captured 57 out of the 102 seats in the Central Legislative Assembly. And at the provincial level, it got a majority except in Bengal, Sindh and Punjab. And it also went into or had coalition governments in the northwestern frontier province and Assam, where Pakistan was being claimed. It is here that the main change had happened. Muslim League's performance from 3% to 86.6%. All 30 reserved seats were captured in the Central Legislative Assembly. Now, this is something unprecedented. And this was technically a given that now Pakistan was going to happen either way, because Muslim League between 1936 and 1946 had become a hero. Jinnah, who had no power, who was begging the INC to technically make a government in 1936, now has 86.6% of the Muslim vote. The polarization was complete. Lithgow's politics was now bearing fruit. The romance between Jinnah and Lithgow had produced this concept, or this whole, in a way we say, the performance of the Muslim League was unprecedented. Now, in a way, this is also the fault of the INC, because the INC had an option to, in a way, absorb the Muslim League, or at least dampen the Muslim League in 1936. It is the arrogance of the Muslim League, and it is the arrogance of the INC in 1936, which technically created the Muslim League as a major opposition by 1946. The INC was very oblivious, too short-sighted in 1936, but by 1946, you can write it. You can write it as a given fact that INC was short-sighted at this point of time. The basic point of the matter is the Indian National Congress underestimated the power of Jinnah and underestimated the power of the British with regards to divide and rule. Understand this point very, very clearly, that the Congress performance was always a given. The 102 non-reserved seats, they were doing very well. But it is the Muslim League which has now captured the imagination of the Muslims. And that was because the Congress did not allow the Muslim League to basically become a larger part of INC politics, rather alienated the Muslim League. So I hope you can understand that this performance is unprecedented for the Muslim League, and something which was not going to come as a shock, but was also the creation of the Congress itself. The Congress could have avoided this fate, but somehow it is the fate of India that this was the only way India was going to get independence, with the Muslim League. Now comes the whole hue and cry. Jinnah is extremely exuberant, and now the cabinet mission says, okay, to form the what we call as interim government. So it was based on this 57 and 30 seats that the interim government was going to be made. So there's a very famous statement of Nehru in July of 1946 that India is now moving towards its fate. However, when it will come to the League will say no. Separate electorate still followed. That is why the reserve seats. The Muslim League will actually say we will not become part of the interim government itself. We will not become part of the interim government. And they actually boycotted. They boycotted the interim government in August, when on 2nd September 1946, Nehru will be chosen as the head of the interim government. The interim government, because INC had basically the majority in the house. So they said that let's go without the 30. We can still make the interim government. In between, the League will do its drama, which is called what was called the concept of direct action day. Lad ke lenge Pakistan, that whole concept that we will fight for Pakistan. And Nehru had already said in July that India's fate is now manifesting itself. India will get independence irrespective of any roadblocks itself. But the Muslim League, even in the last moment, started to say no, we will not let Indian independence happen. So Jinnah could see that even when he's saying that I will not be part of the interim government, still the interim government plan is going forward. So he will do this whole drama, ladke lenge, this, that. The point is, still the interim government will be formed. And that is why, when they will do this drama, by October of 1946, the Jinnah will join the interim government. So they did all this drama, and then in the end, in October of 1946, they will technically join the government itself. They will join the government itself. As you can see, in October of 1946, 5 Muslim League members will join, and they will also become ministers within this interim government. And all this dramebaji is going to lead to nothing. So let me repeat what is happening, because they are small events but very important. The basic point of the matter is that once the formation of the interim government happens in 1946, The interim government is now first formed on 2nd September 1946 with only the INC. Muslim League will boycott. However, once it comes to October of 1946, Muslim League will join. In between, they will try to spread communal discord. There will be whole dramabazi, but still Muslim League will see that they are still going forward. Still going forward. So, what have we done? We started with cabinet mission. Cabinet mission says elections. Election in turn leads to what? Election in turn leads to the concept of interim government. Interim government, Muslim League performance is extremely exceptional, and there will be very simply the concept of the Muslim League first not joining the interim government and then joining the interim government. Interim means transitionary. Are we on the same page? Once Muslim League provincial level also, the 86.6% I'm telling you is taking into account that at provincial level also it was very good. Why interim, Shivam? Because the word interim is used because India has not been given independence. This government was the one which the power will be transferred later. Not right now. So the concept of interim is giving temporary government to which we will transfer power. Are we all clear with what we are doing? Because now I enter 1947. Muslim League initially did not join, later will join. Yes? I want everybody's consent. Yes? Okay. So, we will do previous year questions, don't worry. Cabinet mission, election, Muslim League's performance is exuberant. Interim government is formed. The government, basically, Muslim League will initially not join, and thereafter, they will join in October. Now, Nehru writes to Attlee. See, this interim government is based on not provincial elections. Central Legislative Assembly, Lok Sabha technically in that sense, how it is there. What is the meaning of interim? Temporary. Now, Nehru writes to Attlee. And he writes to Attlee to say that Jinnah is doing drama. And the drama of Jinnah is only delaying Indian independence. He first said he will not be part of it. Then he said he will not be a part of it. Then he said I will be a part of it. In August, he did this direct action day. September, the government was formed. October, they joined. And basically, Nehru tried to express his frustration with Jinnah's politics. And in February of 1947, Attlee will declare that India would be given independence in 1948 June. This was decided as the date for the Indian independence, 1948 June. Wavell was still the viceroy. But the first question is, why 1947? What is so important and why is it that 1947 was considered as our year of independence? Or when the British now became more or less convinced that they cannot hold on to India. The reason to it very simple. Trust on the army, bureaucracy, and the machinery of rule was not there. Second, very simply, the Second World War had destroyed the economy polity, and society of the British. Third, there was USA pressure to decolonize. Why would the Americans want decolonization? The army cannot be trusted, RIN. Bureaucracy, which is the ICS, cannot be trusted. It is 55% of Indians now. And machinery would mean police and all. Never, not accepted. See, never say that USA is a protector of democracy. USA is the worst power in the world and one of the biggest hypocritical powers. The US is not a protector or does not promote democracy. It only claims to be a protector. It wants oil. The reason why USA pressurizes for decolonization is because USA does not have colonies itself. And Britain, the strength of Britain was colonies. So if Britain loses its colonies, Britain further weakens and USA can take over as a world power. And this is the basic point. Never ever say that the British are or the Americans are a protector of democracy. No, 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 no. They are the worst in the world. And they have only used democracy to destabilize all of West Asia. So we'll discuss that in world history. But the basic point of the matter is the trust on its own colonial machinery was not there. And Second World War will destroy the British itself. And the USA will also pressurize for decolonization. All was to emerge as the only main power. The basic point was Britain's strength was India. And they wanted to take away India. Why the US? Because the US now wanted its space in the world. They had found or they fought the Second World War against Hitler. Now Britain was in no position to hold on to India. Simply, Britain does not have the capacity to hold on to India. Are we clear with regards to this? They won, but the US has a certain politics. US never had proper colonies in the world, nothing like India. And basically, it is just the British now not having the capacity to hold on to India. Now, this February declaration, therefore, is basically very significant because now the British accepted its fate. Are we all clear about this? Come on. This has much bigger connotations, which I will discuss history with you throughout this whole course. You will realize that the world politics at this point of time is very different in that sense. So, very simply, Attlee says we will give the power to Indians, transfer the power to the interim government in June of 1948. And in March 1947, Wavell is called back. And now comes Mountbatten. Now comes Viceroy, the last British Viceroy Mountbatten. Now, Mountbatten's mandate, Attlee had sent Mountbatten with the mandate that basically you have to now figure out how do we give Indians independence. Because the cabinet mission plan was also very, very, very hard to implement. So now between March and May, there are two fools who worked on this, and their name is Ismay and Dicky Bird. How to give India independence. And Ismay and Dicky Bird, true to their name, came up with the worst solution possible. And the worst solution which these two people gave was give Indian provinces independence separately and then let them come together after transfer of power. These are two officers. Now basically these two officers, their plan is give UP independence, give Central Province independence, give Bengal independence, give Northwestern Frontier Province independence, give Madras independence, give Bombay independence, give the Punjab independence, give every province independence separately, and then let them decide if they want to come together. And basically this plan is called the Balkanization plan. It's called the Balkan plan. Technically, they wanted to destroy India, like literally, they said, cut it into pieces and let us scatter them. And then let's see how they come together. Nehru was shown this plan. And Nehru literally stood up and said that, what are you thinking? You have made a game out of independence. That you want us to believe that you will give one common center. Delhi will now have to negotiate with 11 to 12 different countries. And that is why our constituent makers were very clear that we don't want coming together federation. We want holding together federation. Strong center. Because the British had, in a way, irritated us so much with regards to this concept. Tod do, kaat do. They cut. They're like, they don't have understanding of what they're doing. And basically, this is basically divide and rule politics at a next level altogether. They were most probably sniffing something which was making them fully losing their mind. So somehow all these people, they have no idea. And Mountbatten was also shocked. Mountbatten sat there with his head and he was like, these Dicky Bird and Ismay, this is why I gave you 3 months to work this out. That you come up with the plan that you divide India into 5, 6, 7 countries and let them then decide. And in between all of this, there was also one more plan which was proposed by Indians, and that is called the Bengal Pact or the Shoravardi Sarat Bose Pact or agreement, which is that Bengal said that we don't want to be in this mess. Bengal said, we can see how these dumb people are acting. This Dicky Bird has lost his mind. So let us do one thing. We want to become a separate country. Independent Bengal was the plan. That we will write our own constitution. 16 seats will give to Muslims, 14 to Hindus, 30 member. We will have a council. We will have a Muslim CM, Hindu Home Minister. We will have proportional representation in legislature. Whoever wins majority of their own community, they will be declared elected. And Hindus and Muslims will have share in military and police jobs. So Sarat formula was basically the frustration of all this Dicky Bird and Ismay. Dicky Bird Ismay did not realize basically what they were doing. So when we talk about the declaration, On 7th February 1947, Nehru wrote a letter to Attlee complaining about the League. And on 20th February, Attlee declared that on June 1948, there will be a new government of a new India, and the India will be given independence. And Mountbatten will be now declared as the last governor, or Governor General of Bengal, Governor General of India and Viceroy. Mountbatten will now, in between, give these two fools the aspect of figuring something out, which is called the Balkan Plan, Ismay Plan, Dickey Bird Plan. This is worked out between March and May of 1947. Mountbatten decided that the cabinet mission had to become more or less untenable. That was not possible only. Getting three, then one leave, then 10 years did not make sense. Therefore, now General Sir Hastings Ismay, Abel and Mountbatten will try to figure out something. And what they will figure out is called Balkan Plan. It is also called the Ismay Plan. And the basic concept was the plan envisaged. Now listen to this absurdity. The plan envisaged transfer of power to separate provinces. Madras, Bombay, Bengal, Punjab, Northwestern Frontier Province, with Punjab and Bengal given the option to vote for partition. The various units thus formed, along with the princely states, would have the option to join India and Pakistan or remain separate. The main proposal of this plan was that provinces should first become independent successor states rather than part of the union itself. Now, this plan is absurd. This will create close to 580 different small states, and then it would be the task of the Indian and the Pakistan Union. Patel would then have to basically work this out with every province itself. So this was untenable and it was not acceptable to anybody. And therefore, when Dickey Bird was nothing but this modified plan was shown by Mountbatten informally to Nehru, and later Nehru was joined as or was brought as a guest to figure this out. And once Mountbatten put this plan in front of Nehru, Nehru rejected the plan right away and told him that you're technically balkanizing India and will only lead to more and more conflict. And when Nehru will say to Mountbatten, it will not work, then Mountbatten will cancel this plan. And now Mountbatten will work on his own plan, which is called the 3rd June plan or Mountbatten plan. Just minutes away from our independence now. And under Mountbatten plan, what he will decide is that rather than creating all this mess, he opened the census data of 1941. And he said, what are the two areas which have the most or the biggest population of Muslims? In that, he saw Punjab and he saw Bengal. And now he said that India will be given independence and there will be a plebiscite. There will be voting in Punjab and Bengal if they want to go for partition or not. However, Mountbatten never applied this concept of the Mountbatten plan. And he said that a person called Radcliffe will now divide Punjab and Bengal, and that is going to be called the Radcliffe line. This is the first thing I discuss with you tomorrow when I discuss post-independence with you. But the basic point is, now the 3rd June plan was basically acceptable to everybody. The 15th August date was chosen. Mountbatten said to Attlee that there is too much communal violence, there is too much pressure, we can't go until June 1948. India will go into civil war, create India and Pakistan right now. And what was decided was, if one group of Punjab and Bengal assembly demands for partition, it would be done. Sindh would decide if they want to go for partition. Northwestern Frontier Province will have a plebiscite. If partition happens, Radcliffe will make a line and princely states will be allowed to either join the India or Pakistan or remain independent. Now, what I want you to do is to hold this information. Can you hold this information for one day? Because tomorrow I start post-independence with you. And this is the first thing I discuss with you, which is partition and its impact. So I want you to just hold on to this data. One day, 24 hours, keep it close to you. And once you are done with it, once I come back tomorrow, post independence, first thing we discuss is how it is going to impact India and how drunk was Radcliffe to actually make this plan. Because ironically, Radcliffe had never seen India. Radcliffe had never come to India, and Radcliffe did not even know where Punjab and Bengal was. He was just given random maps and data and asked, divide. And we'll discuss that tomorrow properly in a lot of details in that sense. Now, very simply, Mountbatten plan will be accepted. Once we do this, we'll do previous year questions. Mountbatten plan will be accepted. And once Mountbatten plan will be accepted, on July 18th, 1947, the Indian Independence Act will be technically ratified, first passed by the British Parliament and ratified along with the Mountbatten Plan. And this act was going to come into implementation on August 15, 1947. What was the Indian Independence Act? The act was very simple. Two dominions will be created. Now you see the level of frustration an Indian would have. Still they are saying, Act will create two dominions of India and Pakistan. Each dominion will have a Governor General to be responsible for effective operation of this act. Thereafter, the Constituent Assembly of the new dominion was to exercise legislative functions. The Central Legislative Assembly and the Council of States, basically the two wings, the bicameralism at center was abolished. For transitionary period till a new constitution was adopted for each dominion, the government of two dominions could be carried out in accordance of Government of India Act 1935. Jinnah, he was drunk. He was like, give me something. So he became the first Governor General of Pakistan. But we knew that we technically don't have to learn these provisions, understand this. But we knew that we have to deal with a person like Jinnah. So Nehru said, let Mountbatten be there. Mountbatten can deal with Jinnah. I don't want to go to this tension, man. We will keep Mountbatten so that he can at least deal with Pakistan initially. So India chooses Mountbatten to be Governor General. First Governor General of independent India in a way. But C. Rajagopalachari is going to become the first Indian Governor General. But Jinnah wanted power. He will get that picture clicked which you see on the Pakistani money. Though he was not as healthy as that picture shows, but he was very, very keen to come to power, very happy. Basically, at this point of time, he did go to Nehru and said that you take Karachi, give me Bombay. Nehru said 1906 to 1947. 41 years I have tolerated your nonsense. You go and you make your own country. Now you want Karachi, Bombay, you will exchange Delhi for Islamabad, Lahore for Amritsar. These things I cannot manage. You do what you want to do. You go, and Jinnah basically had lost his mind. He had TB by this point of time. Nehru was like, you just go to your own country. You have made sure that Pakistan will be created. You should be happy. Aaj khush to bahut hoge tum, but jao. You go and make your own country. Because Jinnah still was trying to make a lot of things. First Governor General of India is Mountbatten. First Indian Governor General is C. Rajagopalachari. So basically, and very simply, finally, after 22 days of teaching, on 15th August 1947, we get independence. And with this, our adhyay called Modern India closes. Made sense? Quite a long journey we've gone through. Now, what I want to do with you is two things. First, I want to give you a master timeline, which is something which you need to revise, what you need to do. And then I will do previous year questions with you. So once previous year questions are done, I'll give you the break. Then small topics are left, 3 of them. Now, paramountcy, I will discuss with you, Subarna, tomorrow when I start with the concept of Indian independence, because it makes more sense there. Paramountcy, I have to teach you either way because of the fact that I can't teach Patel's role without paramountcy. So don't have to worry about that. Now, basic point, what has happened? Mountbatten comes, Mountbatten asks Ismay Dickieber to work it out. They give the absurdest plan possible. And Mountbatten comes up with this plan. 2 areas which have the biggest population, we will divide them. Mountbatten plan is accepted by the parliament. Parliament passes the July of 1947 Act, which will be called Indian Independence Act, will come into effect on 15th August 1947. 2 dominions created, India and Pakistan. And now you leave it to me. I will take this story forward from tomorrow, which is what happened hereafter. What you want to know, what is the second clause? One group of Punjab, one Bengal demands for partition, it would be done. If these 2 areas ask for partition, we will do it. Right? Now, please tell me one thing. I started with you with the advent of Europeans and Mughal decline. Is there a certain picture in your mind now? Come on, you tell me first. Are you able to make out what is basically happening? Yes. Now, what I want to do is, as I said, just consolidate everything. And once we've done that, I will show you questions. And you will be, I hope you will be shocked to see how questions are basically not even going into this much detail. They're not going to this much detail, nothing at all. And I will do previous year questions, both prelims and mains with you. But for that, I just want to consolidate everything so that we are fresh with Indian independence. We are all happy with Indian independence. At least we can just consolidate everything. You do it with me, it will help you. You just revise with me. Can I do this with you? Yes. Gandhi on the background was technically going around in different rioting sectors to quench the riots. As I said, after 42, he did not go into active politics. Right. Yes, at the stroke of midnight, we get India's tryst with destiny. Okay. What you do very simply is that you just consolidate with me. For anybody who is new, you will get a chance to do it again. But this is basically what we are doing. Once I come back tomorrow, we take this story forward. And post-independence is a totally differently oriented concept itself. It's an only main subject, so don't worry about that. Ismay plan is to divide India into every province gets independence separately and then they come together. Yes? Okay. Now, this is called a master timeline. When I will teach you in ancient and medieval, I will give you for ancient and medieval also. When I'll end medieval with you, I will create a master timeline from 2 million BCE till today. Dickieber is nothing but Ismay plan ended with Dickieber giving it the last major understanding. So these 2 officers, same plan itself. Bengal Pact, as I said, the Sarad formula was Bengal did not want to be part of India. It said that we will create a separate Bengal. Bengal is a separate country altogether, and we'll figure it out how Muslims and Hindus will go into governance. Yeah, can I give you the timeline? Are we all on the same page? They, Nidhi. Throughout this period, they. British are never us. British can never be us. Okay. So I will give you from Portuguese itself. Wait. (1717). Shift of capital from Kochi now this is basically the Portuguese. Thereafter, we'll discuss Goa and Puducherry both tomorrow. Okay. This is called Golden Farman, which is Golconda. This is Chandragiri. Chandragiri concession. This is Madras. This is Shah Shuja Farman, Bengal. And this is Farooq Siar Farman, Surat, Bengal, minting and the Madras sector. We know the finer details. Hyderabad also, they were able to concentrate. And yes, Dastak, very good. You are telling me it is even better. So you understand this is basically the inauguration of the company in India. This is company rule or expansion. Now, Farman means order. Any issue here? I don't think so. You're telling me the aspects, obviously, it's not an issue. Now, then we go into the most important 1757, 1765, 1813, 1833, 1853, 1857, 1861, rather 1858, 1861. Now, this is Plassey, this is Buxar and Grant of Diwani, this is Indian monopoly gone, China monopoly gone. 1853 is Charter Act and no 20 years clause. Revolt of 1857. Thereafter, Government of India Act 1858. And this is Indian Council Act 1861. But this period is the most significant because this is all company rule, and it is during this period that there are direct conquest, subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, land revenue settlements, commercialization, deindustrialization, drain of wealth, socio-religious reform, education, policy, and very simply, this is all the period of what is called as company rule or company exploitation. Is also the period of tribal and peasant movement. This is the period of resistance. Ways of resistance to rule. So we understand that everything which was happening in India happens at this point of time only, which is basically all Indian expansion and consolidation. Expansion and consolidation during this period only. Expansion and consolidation during this period only. Now, with the Government of India Act 1858, we have crown rule. We have crown rule in India. And the 1861 Act, in a way, is considered as the first moment of legislative decentralization, because this period was the period of legislative centralization. Now, this is also the period where early nationalism was developing, and it is going to now come fruit in 1885. So you see, are you understanding that I'm not going into micro events? I'm keeping it very simple, and I'm going into the larger events which are very, very important for Indian history. If you will add clutter to it, which is add even more detail, it will become more problematic. So can we now go into the business end from where the most amount of questions come? Okay, very good. So now our story becomes interesting. 1885, 1892, 1905, 1909, no, not 1909, but 1907, 1909, we can go for 19, 10 is not important, 12, 13, thereafter 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918, 1919. Now, here what is important? Formation of INC, Indian Council Act 1892. This is two things: partition of Bengal and Swadeshi movement. Then this whole phase is called moderate phase. Thereafter, you have 1907 Surat split. This is Morley-Minto reforms or Indian Council Acts. 1912 to 13 is revolutionary activities in India and abroad. And if you add 14 to it, you technically get Gadar movement. So I'm not going to expand this. This you have if you remember, yes, you have a separate timeline for this. So I can zoom it out, but I've brought it in here because it will become too much to manage, right? So every PPT in the beginning has a timeline for this only. Every moment now can be split up into more moments. Now, 1915, advent of Gandhi and Home Rule League. 1916 important, Lucknow Pact. Till this period, it's called the extremist phase. Then Lucknow Pact. After Lucknow Pact, when these two come together, 17 is Champaran. Then this is Kheda and Ahmedabad. And then we also have Montague Declaration. So we have Montague Chelmsford Reforms or Government of India Act 1919. Now, I hope all of this is letting you consolidate everything which we've done till this point. Yes? Yes? Very good. Same year as Rowlatt Act. So we are checking, just traversing what we've done till this whole period. So now our story starts in 1919, 1920, 13th April 1919, 1920, 1922, 1923-24, 1925, 1927, 1928, 1929, 1929, 1930, 1931, 1932. This is the business end of our syllabus. This is Rowlatt Satyagraha, Jallianwala Bagh, Khilafat issue, and start of non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement. Then Chauri Chaura, Swarajist, no changes. 1925, Swarajist decline. Simon Commission, Nehru Report. Now 1929, literally 3-4 things. You have Jinnah 14 points, Irwin Declaration, you have Delhi Manifesto, and you have Purna Swaraj Resolution, Lahore session. Now, one more important thing here, from 1927 to 29 period, it is HSRA, and 1925 to 27 is HRA. Basically, this is the period of the revolutionary bodies. Thereafter, 1930, again a significant year. First Roundtable Conference. CDM Phase 1, Dandi March. 1931, second RTC, Gandhi Irving Pact. Third RTC, McDonald Award. CDM Phase 2, Pune Pact. Yes. So till 1932 we've come. Till 1932 we've come. Now we go further. Everybody is following, and I hope you are finding this useful in some way. Simon Commission is 1927, not 1919. Yes. Okay. 1932, 33. Technically, 1933 of no purpose to us, but 1935, 1936, 1937, 1938, 1939, 1940, 41, 42. So, this is CDM Phase 2, Pune Pact, McDonald Award. This is Government of India Act 1935. Thereafter, 36 and 37, elections and formation of INC ministries and governments. 1938, Haripura Tripuri session. Gandhi versus Bose. 40, Ramgarh session, August offer. Thereafter, 41, very important here, individual satyagraha, but also Mohan Singh forms the INA in Malaya. And 1942 is important because it is Quit India, Cripps Mission, Bangkok Conference, India Independence League. Grace? Perfect? Very good. After this, we do previous year questions. So you are getting time to rejuvenate. Come on. 1943, 1944, 1945, 1946, 1947. Now, 43, Subhash Chandra Bose reaches Singapore. Formation of Azad Hind Fauj and Sarkar. 1944, Imphal campaign. Now multiple things happen in 45. You have Wavell conference. Thereafter, World War II ends. INA trials. Thereafter, 44 you can add, okay, Rajaji formula, Rajaji. C. Rajagopalachari formula. 46, we'll start with RIN mutiny. Thereafter, cabinet mission. Then elections, 1946. Formation of the interim government. And 47, Attlee Declaration. इसमें no, not इसमें, first Mountbatten comes to India. इसमें Dickey Bird plan, 3rd June plan, Indian independence. Done. I hope all of this makes sense. Can we now imagine how far we've come? How far we've come, where we started and where we are today. Right? Clear, everybody? This is going to be part of the annotated PPT. But you see, we started at one basic point and we've come a very, very long way. Is this clear, everyone? Come on. Yes? Okay, perfect. Yes, perfecto. What happened to India was under single powerful and rather fragmented in the eve of the conquest. Something totally different. It's not Devansh, Neil, it should not be intimidating. When I did with you, I did it in pieces. So if you look at it, is it very difficult when you do it in pieces? See, my major understanding with you is that if you can imagine the Indian national movement like this, then you will never forget. So for anybody who wants to take a screenshot, I'll start from the beginning. You take a screenshot, you tell me, and then I'll move forward. Give me a thumbs up, then I'll know that you've taken the screenshot. Enough screenshots and I know that you've taken it. So I would pose with it. So tell me, great, perfect. Next one, okay. Next one. Then I'll move forward. This one, double. Then you have 1919 to 32. Thereafter, you have 32 to 42. You want second one? Second one is this. I think this is second one. Now, second one, I'll mark it also. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. So, simple. 3, we were at 3. Now we are at 4. 5. Everything will be part of the PPT. Don't worry. When you get it, you will get it. Yes? Now, are you ready for previous year questions? And then we move to the miscellaneous topics. Have we discussed? See, Basit, Constituent Assembly is polity. I will discuss with you tomorrow something totally different. So, Rajaji formula, C. Rajagopalachari formula tries to find a solution with the Muslim League. Don't block independence. Right? Right. Now, let's take previous year questions. Everybody's very ready? Come on. Little bit statement-based questions, but I want you to be now ready. Yes, very good. Perfect. With reference, this is the latest questions. With reference to the proposal of Cripps mission, consider the following statements. Please read closely. The Constituent Assembly would have the members nominated by the provincial assemblies as well as the princely states. Any province which is not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement with the British regarding its future status. I'm giving you 45 seconds. Figure it out. We do poll today. Let's see how everybody performs. 4 options, 45 seconds. Yes, come on. Read the first statement closely before marking anything. Please read the first statement. I made two August Offer Cripps Mission on same slide. Please pay attention. Yes, Basavaraj, post-independence starts with 1947 only. We don't go straight to post-independence. I will today just do certain small topics with you and 2-3 things which I need to tell you. Come on, come on, come on. 38, 23, 27, 12%. Now, first you need to tell me one thing. Is this question very difficult, or it's theoretical, or it's conceptual? It's a conceptual, easy question if you basically know the basic provisions. That is why from time to time I have been emphasizing this. Understand the concept. Now you see, the Constituent Assembly under the Cripps Mission was going to be all Indian. But was the Provincial Assembly and Princely State were going to be nominated? Nomination clause was there for the Princely States, but technically it wasn't there for provincial assemblies. What was there for provincial assembly? Very good. They were going to get elected via the concept of proportional representation. What you have done, who has marked either C or A, you have not read the statement closely, because it says as well as. Says as well as. Second, any province which is not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement. Isn't it the partition clause which I told you? That Cripps Mission and the concept of cabinet mission all have this concept that you can leave the union. So any province which did not want to be part of this new constitution can leave the union once the dominion status has been given. This is correct. Answer is 2 only. Now, basic point of the matter is, first statement is not difficult. It's just that you need to read a little bit more closely. Closely in the sense that cabinet mission, Cripps Mission and August Offer, these type of questions come, which is basically you need to know the basic idea here. Basic idea here. Is this okay? Do you understand your mistake, and do you understand why you got it? Why one is wrong? Because provincial assemblies were not going to be elected, nominated, they were going to be elected via proportional representation, and princely states were going to be done via the concept of nomination. And the second is very simple, that if you do not see, now if you are saying that this is an agreement which is written here, then there is a diagnosis which I want to give you, which is called overthinking. When it says any province is not ready to accept right to go into a separate agreement with the British, then why are you complicating it? Is it not the word separate agreement, separate understanding, separate anything? Isn't it enough to say to you that this is the partition clause? Are you able to understand this point? That basically, if you are using this word agreement to reject it, firstly, a lot of people went with one only cannot be the answer. If you're answering D, then that was a problem. Yes, everyone? Okay, great, perfect. Now think like a Britisher. In the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of the provincial government were divided into reserved and transfer subjects. This is called hierarchy. Which of the following were treated as reserved subjects? 2022 question. Administrators of justice, local self-government, land revenue, and police. Think like a Britisher and you will come to the one of them. Come on, come on. Very good, Dhanalakshmi. Very good, Dinesh. Abhishek, perfect. Lekha, great. Perfect. Good. Shalu, great. Yashika, great. Subhash, Darshan, getting something wrong. Aarti, Krishna, great. Anushain, again overthinking. Chaluvadi, Parth, Zara, Salam, great. Wow. 70%. We are on the high of the Indian independence. Maza aa gaya. Wow. 12, 11, 78%. So, see, out of the four, which is the useless part? You tell me. Will the reserved means executive council plus governor. It has to be pro-British. So, administrator of justice, they will never give. Revenue, to they will never ever give. And police, they will also never give. This is Panchayati Raj and this and that. Automatically come to the answer. The basic point is reserved subjects, transfer subjects are subjects which the provincial governor takes a call on. So reserved subjects basically are the ones which are executed via Governor General and Executive Council. And the transfer subjects are what is Governor General and Legislative Council. So Legislative Council, Sahil, listen to me, will have Indian element. So they will give useless things in the Indian element and good important things in the reserved one. So therefore, if you ever see useless topics, agriculture, market, and automatically through elimination it comes. This question you cannot ratify because there are multiple subjects. Here, think like a Britisher and you automatically come to local government. Local self-government means panchayat, the village administration. British doesn't care about village administration. Administration of justice means justice, land revenue, police. Today, local self-government is what? Panchayati Raj institutions, PRIs, and municipal corporations. So, will the British actually care if there is panchayat happening at the lowest level? Obviously not. They don't care about that. So, who takes decision on transferred? Governor General plus legislative councils of the provinces. Okay. Can I move forward? Are you able to understand the type of questions which are coming? These are not difficult questions. These are just simple understanding based questions. Okay, now let's see how good you read. Consider the following statements. Now 2022, all questions have been covered. 6 questions were there. 3 I did previously, 3 I did today. The Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919 recommended granting voting rights to all the women above the age of 21. The Government of India Act 1935 gave women reserved seats in legislature. Now, this is based on a very important concept I told you. Now, let's see if you... So, you tell me. It gave, yes, it gave separate electorates to women. Yes, the status clause was there, wealth clause was there. So, it gave separate electorates for women. But did I tell you that India also has reserved subject today? And India has this concept of reserved subject, reserved seat, joint electorate. Reserved seat, separate electorate. So, isn't the seat reserved in both? So, if you are marking the statement incorrect, you are overthinking and going one step forward. Government of India gave women reserved seats. Yes. But if it said with joint electorate, then that would be a wrong statement. If it's not saying anything, then it's a generic statement, so it's okay. If it said women reserve seats with separate electorates, then it would be a correct statement. Reserve seats with joint. This is what you are looking for. This is the problem. You are looking for something which is not there. This is called overthinking. You are rejecting something based on your understanding. But I told you that you need to understand something. Sometimes you have to keep it simple. UPSC here is not asking a history question. This is a question of what is called English literature. Do you understand the wording of the question or not? This question is not difficult. It's just that it is made in such a way that you are not able to come to the solution. You go back to the slide where I taught you separate electorates. You will see I wrote on one slide, reserved has two aspects, joint and separate. But isn't the basic point that the English language here has been played with? In one statement it helps you, and in one statement it doesn't help you. Get my point? Reserved seats are there in India today. We have reserved seats. Reserved seats is the starting point of any electorate, be it separate or be it joint. Getting my point, everyone? Great. Now, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact included which of the following? 2020. Invitation to the Congress to participate in the Roundtable Conference. Withdrawal of the ordinances promulgated in the connection with civil disobedience movement. Acceptance of Gandhi's suggestion for inquiry into police excesses. Release of only those prisoners who were not charged with violence. Point to me. Tell me one thing. There were only two provisions which were not accepted by Gandhi, which is were not accepted by Irving. One, commutation of Bhagat Singh's death sentence, and second, police excesses. Now, there are two options left. Now, did Gandhi say he will go for roundtable conference? Yes. But weren't 80,000 people released under this clause? Only one option in which 1 and 4 is together. Now, you see how UPSC is making a question. UPSC is making just a question basically based on your understanding of Gandhi-Irwin Pact. If they are giving you a descriptive question, they're giving you a statement out of the whole issue also. And this is why the beauty of this whole process is that you don't have to complicate it. Trust the material, trust what I've taught you, trust the process. If you will do that, you will not overthink. Yes, isn't this a obvious, very easy, obvious question? Modern India questions come like this only. You can easily identify if you have a basic idea of that whole topic. Okay, great. Now, technically, I know you don't know the second one, but you can still do this question. Consider the following pairs. All India Anti-Untouchability League, Mahatma Gandhi. All India Kisan Sabha, Swami Shraddhanand Saraswati. Self-Respect Movement, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Which of the following is correctly matched? Here I am giving you 30 seconds, not that much time needed. Use your look at the options and automatically the answer is going to come. Look at the options, automatically answer is going to come. We have discussed two of these previously, one in social religious reform movement and one recently, very recently in that sense. Come on. 48, 21, 12, 19. Now, self-respect movement, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. We'll discuss this again. Temple entry movement as soon as we're back from the break. This has to be correct. 3, 3. Now there are two options, which means that 2 is correct in both. Now we need to decide if Gandhi was related to All India Anti-Untouchability League. Was he? Harijan campaign. Now, basically, this question is easy for one simple reason. If there was an option which just said 1 and 3, then this question would have become very difficult. But because there is no option in which 1 and 3 are not together without 2, therefore this question becomes easy. You need to understand this. Sometimes the question gives you the answer. Sometimes the question gives you the answer. And this is why it is important to be very wary of how the options are placed. This is the worst type of question which can come, which is factual match the following. But you can see here that basically you can still figure it out with base knowledge. Residual base knowledge can be used for elimination. And this is a very important takeaway you take from me today, that sometimes you don't need to know all the options. You just need to use logic. If you use logic, it will automatically come to you. Yes? Okay. Who of the following organized a march on the Tanjore coast to break the salt law in April of 1930? Anushika, why are you answering that option? Chaluvadi, go through your understanding. Just scan through that PPT just once in your mind. Did you saw that name? (54, 25, 11, 10). Now, I told you there were 3 salt marches. Gandhi, C. Rajagopalachari, K.K. Nair. Now, is K.K. Nair given here? No. C. Rajagopalachari on Tanjore coast, K.K. Nair on Malabar coast. Chidambaram Pillai is related to civil disobedience but not a salt march. K. Kamaraj we will discuss tomorrow or day after, which is he is one of the persons who is related to the syndicate against Indira Gandhi. And Annie Besant will never do a salt march. She is Home Rule League movement. Now, this is a factual question, but this is a very easy question. Only 3 names are there. It would have been difficult if K.K. Nair was given. But basically, people were marking C. You are confusing Nair with Kamaraj. Right? Done? Want to see the leaderboard? Then once we do all the things which we need to do, we will do then the mains questions. Okay? Leaderboard. Okay, wait. Leaderboard. Okay. Gulam, Sachin, Aman, Pooja, Shaimil, Subarna, Anil, Prince, and the point is that I hope you take away something out of this discussion, which is that it is not difficult to answer questions if you have base residual knowledge. That is the only thing which I want to discuss. Don't go by ranking, don't go by anything. I hope this whole process, at least, I'm going to take a break now, at least give you some confidence. 1 right, 2 right, 5 right, 100 right, does not matter. At this point of time, you have not discussed you have not revised anything. If without revision, you are still able to basically work it out. Don't get demotivated. Rather get encouraged that I can simply just revise, and very simply, I don't have to go anywhere else. Can we come to the conclusion that without revision, without anything, if you go through the slides again, and the slides in themselves are more or less complete, you can answer any of these questions, right? Yes or no? I don't want you to get demotivated in any way or form, because you are doing something extraordinary. Have you ever studied modern India before this? Have you ever gone through so much? Never. I have taught you for the first time here. You are here with me, and you've only spent basically certain amount of time in class. If you are still marking it wrong or right, it doesn't matter. At least I hope the fear of modern India is gone. If that is okay, then I give you a break. I don't want anybody. PPTs are enough. My understanding, which I'm trying to give you, is enough. Understand it. If you will understand modern India, you will never have to learn modern India, right? Basically, if you revise with me, I do multiple revisions. If you are able to revise it, it will make sense to you. Perfect. So it is 7-2. We come. We'll talk about these miscellaneous topics. Okay. Welcome back. Bangkok Declaration, nothing, not Bangkok Declaration. Bangkok Conference, which is Ras Bihari Bose, INA and Indian Independence League coming together. Now, there are two things which you need to understand here. Firstly, I hope now everything is making sense. The fog over modern India is gone. You understand the subject and you understand how to approach it. Now, what is more important here is what to do now. What to do now. And then I'll go into temple entry movement. Now, please understand one thing. What is going to be a strategy now? Your strategy is going to be very, very simple. The strategy is, Vinod, all the annotated PPTs are your notes. So you don't need to make notes. I am making notes for you in class itself. Strategy very simply is, you read the PPT and you learn the PPTs. This is phase one. This is phase one. Phase one is learning the PPTs and simply trying to understand what is happening or in the different areas. Yeah, every faculty will tell you what to do. So I am telling you what to do, which is for modern India, I am telling you to just go through the PPTs once more. And once you're done with this phase, when you're comfortable with the PPT material, you move to the new NCRTs, which is 8th class and 12th class part 3. Learn them not by heart, only understanding. There are certain facts you need to learn. There are certain understandings you need to learn. Learn the PPTs in the sense that two aspects here, facts and concepts. For 2023, 24, 25, anyone. The PPT, learn the PPT, facts and concepts. This will be done whilst you are going through the PPTs. For this, I have given you something. You remember 15 minutes rule, which is that learn every day 2 to 3 names. There will be maximum 100, 200 facts which you need to remember. If you actually go through them in a very systematic way, and because there is recurrence, you will easily be able to actually go with the 15 minutes rule and cover all the facts. On the NCRT website, everything is free of cost available for you. And here you are not going to learn, you are going to read the NCRTs. Phase 2 is basically revision. And I don't want you to sit with the NCRT for 4 hours and read it. 15 minutes rule is very simply, every morning and every evening, 15 minutes for modern India, you learn certain amount of facts. 2 facts, 3 facts, 4 facts, whatever you are very, very comfortable with. Throughout the day, you revise, you try to recall them. And in the evening, if you don't recall them, then revise and learn them again. You will start with 2-3 facts. As you will become more and more comfortable, the list is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. There are facts, for example, what is this, what is that, what is the year, and there are concepts. For example, land revenue settlement. It's a conceptual aspect. Commercialization. Again, you can use NCERT fundamentals, that is also enough. But the basic point of the matter is, revision, I'm asking you to read the NCERTs, not learn them. There's a difference between learning and reading. Learning is when you sit with it and actually pay a lot of attention. Vishwa, you can use that. And second is, I just want you to go through it. Okay, this is given. Okay, this is given. Okay, I have seen this also. I know this also. Okay, this is something new. Let me read this part. Then this, then this, then this. Making notes is not necessary. Making anything is not necessary. Read it. Like Harry Potter, read it simply. And if you have time, for example, you're 2024, 2025, you can then go to Bipin Chandra. Then go to Bipin Chandra. Again, read it, not learn it. This is your revision second. Now, if you look at the larger strategy, you need to understand one thing. I'm asking you to learn from specifically the PPTs, but I'm asking you to simply go through the NCERT and Bipin Chandra as a random book. As a random book. I'm not asking you to learn each and everything. No. I'm asking only to go through it basically. If you want, you can integrate tablet courses. That is totally tablet videos. That is totally your call. But my understanding is, you know how to read a novel. Do you learn a novel? You tell me. Do you learn a novel? A fictional novel, a storybook? No. So it's a leisure reading. Same way, leisure reading here also. Leisure reading here also. But most important, bare minimum, have to go to the PPT and NCERT. That is a must for sure. That is a must. Bipin Chandra, you will realize I have this book with me here. Technically cannot suffice as your main book. Because this is, see, why do we say to read Bipin Chandra? Because basically, that is totally your call, Muhammad. Basically, this is the old NCERT. A lot of people say, no need to do old NCERT also. And see, if you look at it, I'll read out the chapters for you. For mains, again, the PPT is enough. You go through the PPT, Rahul, any answer of mains you can answer. I have made the PPTs out of 6-7 different books. It is more than enough. Srinivas, that book is again comes third. PPT plus NCERT, any other book, be it Bipin Chandra, be it Spectrum, whatever you want to use, is third in this list. Revision happens from books, not PPT. Annotated PPT is more than enough to do anything. Now let's survey. Decline of Mughal Empire. Done. 18th century, Hyderabad, Carnatic, Bengal, Awadh, rise and fall of Maratha power, socio-cultural, economic conditions. Nothing new. European penetration. Now the problem with European penetration is it deals with Portuguese, Danes and Dutch in very, very simple or very low way. Don't have to do that. Then structure of the British Empire, socio-cultural awakening, revolt of 1857, administrative changes, economic impact. Then he has standard chapters based on years. National movement 1858 to 1905, 1905 to 1918, 1919 to 1927, 27 to 47. Now, if you will go through the chapters, the 2-3 chapters which are important for you, if you really are interested, chapter 13 and 14 you have to do irrespective if you want to. Other than that, this book does not have that much level of detail. For example, it does not even deal with the question with regards to Cripps mission. It talks about Cripps mission. It does not give you the provisions. So very simply, PPT plus NCERT plus Bipin Chandra simply have to revise 13 and 14, last 2 chapters. So my strategy is keep it simple, trust the material, all from Spectrum to Bipin Chandra to Shekhar Bandyopadhyay to Sumit Sarkar to Bipin Chandra struggle for Indian independence. I have added everything to this PPT. You will find everything here. Don't have to go anywhere. Acceptable to everybody? Again, don't have to learn Bipin Chandra, read Bipin Chandra. There are 2 storybooks which I'm asking you to do. You have to just revise from here. Read it and read it. 8th class NCERT and 12th class part 3. Not 8th to 12th, 8th and 12th. Am I asking anything extraordinary? Is it acceptable to everybody? I'm not asking you to go and stand on one foot and learn modern India. I'm just asking you to just trust the material. Yes? Okay. What is the difference between learning and reading? When we do in class, when I teach you in class, I make you learn something and then I read it out of the PPT. When I read it out of the PPT, do you see that I say learn this, learn this, learn this, learn this? I just say enjoy, enjoy. So you enjoy, you read NCERT, enjoy it. Bipin Chandra, enjoy it. That's it. Okay. Now, miscellaneous topics, you have to just keep it simple. That's it. But students complicate history quite a lot. What you need is, and I can basically vouch for that, 15 minutes in the morning, if you are going to learn 5-6 facts and try to revise them in the evening, except whenever there is even drought, flood, anything, if you are doing it in an effortless and disciplined way. Discipline is what I'm asking you, nothing more. Discipline. Whatever be the case, just do it. Okay, miscellaneous topic means these topics are scattered around, would have distorted the main timeline in that sense. Okay, simple. Okay, perfect. Now, one thing you need to understand. First things first. In your portal, there will be one PDF in the dashboard. There will be one PDF which would be uploaded with the PPT. It would say newspapers and Governor Generals. The SME, can you push the link for it? Can you just push the link for it? Newspaper and journal. It's a PDF file which would have been uploaded with today's class. Have you seen it? Can you check it? Can you tell me, please? You've seen it? Very good. SME is going to push it also. It's a PDF file which contains newspapers and Governor Generals. Now, basically, it has to be there. It is downloadable. It is in your dashboard where you find the PPTs every day. The SME is going to push the link for that also. But till that point, if you got it, now if you look at this file, that PDF is on where the class is. In the live sessions, it would say class resources. And if you open it, it will show two different PPTs. One, it will say module 1222, and it will say what is called newspapers and Governor General. Now, that PDF is for your reference. A lot of students, not 1st February, today. Now, that is for your satisfaction. A lot of students believe that I don't have enough resources. So what you are going to do, yes, the subject member expert has pushed it, newspapers and Governor Generals, 11 pages. Now, that is for your satisfaction. Simple. I don't ask you to learn it. I don't ask you to do anything. If you are interested and you find that I need to know whole Governor General list and whatever each Governor General did, it is there. I'm not asking you to learn it. I'm just asking you to keep it as a resource so that you don't have to run anywhere. You're getting my point? I'm trying to give you comprehensive coverage as much as possible. So you would have to either go to Spectrum or to some other book. And problem is, a lot of times Spectrum, there is a lot of confusion because of the spatial differentiation. It makes it in a landscape form. Sometimes it does not make sense. So I have made sense of it. Congress sessions I'm going to do with you right now. Simple point is, keep it simple. I'm giving it to you. There is mismatch. You would have seen for sure if you've ever tried Spectrum. I have tried to resolve that issue with regards to mismatch. So you should not have that. That is first thing for your satisfaction. A lot of students, no, not in any way Spectrum is mandatory. It is totally your call. Now, some people have this thing, I don't have material. You have material now. Second, is that in this PPT itself, I have also added something like this. For students who again want to learn, for example, papers and journals, I have made this PPT for you in this way that every journal and paper which is there with regards to the national movement, it is here. It is here. Again, don't have to run anywhere. Don't have to go anywhere. I will tell you how to tackle something like this. I'll tell you how to do it. If you can, one each day. One each day. Come not compulsory to learn. Some people, see, these are questions in which input is not worth the output, which is that you will learn hundreds and then one question will come. Makes no sense. But my understanding is, see, my task is to give you all resources possible in the most systematic way possible. Not find this list anywhere else, not even Bipin Chandra or Spectrum or anywhere. I have collated it. It took me 6 hours to do this, but I have put that 6 hours in front of you so that you can just go through it easily. Right? You need to learn it? No. Do you need to know it? Sure. But my concept is just go through them once. Enjoy basic story. This is why I call them miscellaneous topics. Basic story should be clear with you. Can we? Why some in red? Because I've tried to highlight the ones which are important. Yes? Are you getting the purpose of this discussion? Are you getting the purpose of this discussion? I'm trying to tell you one thing, which is that you will never have to you will never have to run anywhere. If you've joined me here, everything I give you in the same capsule, don't have to go to any other book. That is why I say PPTs are enough. You can basically not even give heed to this. Just have to give a little bit of understanding to paper and founder if you want to. If you want to. So the newspapers are given in that PDF. I have also systematized it and given it to you here. So I'm trying to do two things at once. For somebody who loves lists, there. And for somebody who likes systematic data, it is here. Only annotated PPT should be enough for anything and everything. Done? We understand the purpose of this discussion. Then I go to what we need to do for today. Small topics which we have to cover. Okay? Anybody who's a 2025, 24, 2026, 27, 28, 20, 30, 32, 35, 40, you can learn 2 to 3 facts every day. And that will become such second skin to you that by the time you come to the period of giving your examination, you will become an expert and you will be able to tell me also. So the basic point of the Vashavarman, I will discuss that with you tomorrow. The simple point of the matter is notes making is not important. Understand this. I'm literally making notes for you. So why do you want to put in the effort and waste your time? I am making notes for you. I have written down everything. I've made the notes for you. Just have to go through them easily. Okay, perfect. Now, the first thing which we need to understand is Dr. Ambedkar, because we've not discussed Dr. Ambedkar specifically. And that too also we have to understand his contribution. Now, I hope everybody's strategy is clear. Something important, modern India, we close today. Tomorrow, we go for a different type of strategy itself. You can take a printout of annotations. You can print out anything. Everything is available to you. Ironically, I will tell you one more important thing. For example, you cover everything. I will teach again in evening batch, for example, 5 months later. Join me again. Revise with me. Why not? We are giving you the opportunity to do one thing 5 times. So you can do it in evening, morning, weekend, whenever you like. Multiple times you can join me. There is no D-bar. There's no issue with regards to changing our batches. You can actually do it anytime and every time, whenever you want. Totally your call. Before 2023, before 2024, before 2025, anytime. Okay. Now, which batch is best to pass the examination? There is no hard and fast rule that only morning batch people will clear. No, no, no. Okay. Now, we talked about the CDM, but we also need to talk about something which was in a way. No, Prashant, we have not done ancient medieval art and culture. We do it separately because modern India is a fundamental subject, and your modern India revision should start in the beginning itself. That is why we do modern first, and then very soon I will come with ancient medieval art and culture. Don't worry about that. Okay. So we have to cover certain movements which were happening parallelly to the Indian main movement or main national struggle. And that brings us to the justice movement which was happening in South India. This is part of social religious reform movement, but is linked to a larger concept of what we call as the anti-Brahmin movement or the justice for the non-Brahmin or depressed class movement. So here what you need to do is not have to complicate it. I will tell you what to learn here. So in Madras presidency, during the period of 1917, when all this is happening, Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad, C.N. Madurlar, T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja were now coming together and forming a movement which is called justice for non-Brahmins or the depressed classes. So there was a lot of problem with regards to, now I'm going into this discussion. Everybody's here, concentrating. Hello. Don't worry. I'm there. You can always email me with regards to anything. That is not an issue. Okay. So, Brahmin, non-Brahmin movement. And basically, it was about caste prejudice. Basically, they did not want the Brahmin community to be the only representatives of the Madras presidency. And they demanded separate representation for lower classes in legislature. Justice movement was considered a very important process of how Periyar, in a way, was able to culminate his larger concept. Periyar Ramaswamy Iyer, E.V. Ramaswamy Iyer, he was talking about self-respect and justice, and now that fruits itself in this way. Thereafter, this movement becomes much larger by 20th century. And late 20th century, the non-Brahmin movement, which started as justice movement, becomes the self-respect movement. And you have to just remember the names. Justice movement, self-respect movement. And it was about achieving backward castes, giving them equal human rights, encourage their self-respect. And it was about respecting yourself first, then going anywhere else. So, very simply, this movement was about rejection of Brahmanical domination, Brahmanical religion itself. And one of the most outspoken critics or the person who was the backbone of this movement is Periyar or E.V. Ramaswamy Iyer. He talked about or criticized the Hindu scriptures, codes of Manu, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana. And he also argued that lower castes and women generally have to talk about their own respect and become much more connected with their own personalities and their capabilities. Simply, he believed that the depressed classes are the real upholders of the real culture of India. Then this movement will start to become more and more pronounced in Tamil Nadu sector. It will even go as far as Malaysia and Singapore. And the basic point is we need to find a fit to think that self-respect is not about inferior and superior, but rather we need to remove caste from India. Caste from India. So this is the larger movement. And when justice movement and the self-respect movement, it gets manifested itself in the form of the temple entry movement, which is interesting. We've already discussed Sri Narayan Guru and N.K. Asan and T.K. Madhavan. But in 1924, during the non-cooperation movement, there is this moment, the post-non-cooperation movement, that it is called the Vaikom Satyagraha, where K.P. Kesava launched a Kerala-driven Hindu temple untouchability, anti-untouchability satyagraha. He argued that on the roads of the temple, the untouchables were not allowed to go. He said that this temple entry and the movement around the temple should be allowed. And the satyagrahas were now getting people from Punjab and Madurai also joining them. And Gandhi had actually become a part of the Vaikom Satyagraha. That is why it becomes important. Now, by 1931, civil disobedience movement had been suspended. However, temple entry movement was still on. K. Kalappan, a very important poet, Trunambu, all lent a group of 16 volunteers to Guruvayur, a temple in that sense. And basically, the Travancore, the Maharaja of Travancore, the princely state, had to give the people the right to enter into temples after this systematic step which happened between 1924 and 31. 1938, Madras, C. Rajagopalachari also tried to introduce the concept of temple entry. Basically, untouchables were not allowed into, or the depressed classes were not allowed into temple. So this is called temple entry movement. Temple entry movement. So this was the basic part which was left because it happened with the NCM and the CDM. That is why I had done it here. Basically, remember justice movement, self-respect movement, temple entry movement. Can we remember these 3 points, everyone? Don't have to go anywhere else. Yes? Okay. Okay. No issues till this point? Can we go further? It's perfect. Okay. You don't have to watch biographies of Indian nationalists. Now. Now, when we talk about the depressed classes, nothing is paused. Just refresh. When we talk about the depressed classes, one of the most towering leaders, whilst others were equally important, was Dr. Ambedkar. And Dr. Ambedkar was that personality who actually made sure that our Indian constitution embodied the basic point 2, how social justice in India got absorbed within the constitution. How social justice in India got absorbed in the constitution. Now, the simple point of the matter is his understanding was very unique. Dr. Ambedkar believed, and as much as he asked for separate electorates, but got affected by Gandhi himself, he believed that the only way India is truly independent is via the depressed classes also getting freedom, human rights, and civil rights. But also he believed that only education is something which can help the depressed classes go forward. So whilst he devoted his whole life for against untouchability, he believed that the progress of the nation will never be realized if untouchability is not removed and caste system is not totally removed from Indian society. And for him, basically, untouchability was like slavery within the Hindu society itself. And once untouchability is banned, then only the whole Indian society gets freedom. Freedom, emancipation means freedom. The freedom of the whole Hindu society can only be there if untouchability is totally removed. But the word social justice for him was very important because he believed that political independence is nothing if social independence and social justice is not done. And if social justice cannot become the part of our own understanding, then it is a problem. Therefore, he was one personality who pushed for social justice. Social reform should happen. Economic and political issues must be resolved only after social justice. He believed only when society becomes complete that basically economic and political issues will be resolved thereafter. He believed political and social are not independent to each other, and social and economic makes no sense without social justice. If political emancipation precedes social emancipation, it will nothing be the rule of upper caste Hindus. Therefore, lower caste and the depressed classes also need to rise with India. Economic progress will lead to social justice is ill-conceived, because if caste system exists and is still catching the eyes of or the mind of the people, then economic freedom will also never percolate to the depressed classes. So basically, social reform, family reform, religious reform, removal of child labor, child marriages, the concept of empowerment of women, and property rights to women. He was a towering personality as much as in depressed classes, but he was also very important for women's emancipation. He said that only when the depressed classes and women go forward, then only India goes forward, which is actually a very important concept in that sense. Economic and political progress, it makes no sense without social progress or social justice or social reform. Therefore, now from time to time, he created a lot of organizations and different activities which were revolutionary in the depressed class movement itself. So you have, for example, the Bahishkrit Hitkarni Sabha. Remember this name, can be asked in match the following, which devoted for education of the downtrodden. In the temple entry movement, which I discussed with you, Dr. Ambedkar was there at the Kalaram temple, and in Nasik, another landmark moment of temple entry movement. He was there to struggle for human rights and social justice. Dr. Ambedkar was also the one who attended all the roundtable conferences to talk about untouchability and depressed classes. So from here you learn 1, 2, that's it. Thereafter, we already know he was part of the roundtable conferences. Thereafter, in 1932, we already know with regards to Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar, the Pune Pact was one way forward, but wherein Baba Sahib dropped the demand for separate electorates and he went with reserved seats. It did not mean that he just stopped campaigning for depressed class movement itself. So in 1936, Baba Sahib founded what is called the Independent Labour Party. This party was going to represent the depressed class idea and understanding. During the Second World War, he called upon the Indians to join the army in large numbers so that fascism could be defeated. And he believed, like Gandhi, and this is the similarity between the two, that fascism is bad and British need to be supported. And thereafter, in October of 1956, he embraced Buddhism along with many followers. And then he wrote a book called Buddha and His Dharma. 1990, Dr. Ambedkar got the Bharat Ratna. Thereafter, 1990 April to 1991 April, it was called the Year of Social Justice. Until today, the Dr. Ambedkar Foundation works under the Government of India to help achieve the moment of social justice. And what is more important for you for the examination is that he was the one who laid the foundation for social justice in India, but he also wrote a very important texts. For example, Mook Nayak in 1920, Janta in 1930, The Annihilation of Caste, The Untouchables, and Buddha or Karl Marx. You need to remember this for sure. Very, very, very important for you in the larger context of national movement. So you just have to learn certain movements and certain important books. Dr. Ambedkar is very important for history optional, where there is a lot of questions which come from him. Here we expect a standard prelims question from his contribution and one mains question which was basically linked to the larger movement of temple entry. And I will show it to you. Simple point of the matter is Dr. Ambedkar revolutionized the idea of depressed class because nobody was talking about social justice. Justice was always about political or economic. He talked about social. Clear, everybody? We've already done Jyotiba Phule, we've already done Savitribai Phule, we've already done all of that. Dr. Ambedkar I did in the end because you understand him better here. Is this clear? Can I move forward? Yes? Great. Now, the civil services committees. Now, what happens in the examination is there are certain number of committees which come. I've already done Famine commissions with you. I've already done education commissions with you. Now I'm going to concentrate on Civil Services Committee. And there are technically three here. There are technically three here. One is called Atchison, Islington, and Lee. Atchison, Islington, and Lee Commission. So what you need to remember for the examination basically is the fact that AIL, Islington, Atchison, Lee. Can you do that? Okay. So AIL, don't have to go to Campbell. Atchison, Islington, Lee. So if you understand the purpose, can I discuss the basic changes which were happening in the civil services? Can we discuss that? Are we all understanding the purpose of this discussion? Because the purpose of the discussion very simply is the fact that we need to understand the basic contours of these areas. The basic contours of these areas. Yes, we are perfect. Great. So let's move forward. Now, the first major act which is related to the concept of what we call as the Indian Civil Services, you already know is called the Charter Act of 1853. Why is the Charter Act of 1853 important? Because it is the first time a provision which was brought in 1833 was actually applied, which is that now in India, or rather in the world and in England, very simply, the competition concept was introduced rather than nomination. So it was based on the Macaulay Committee of 1854, and basically the Charter Act gave the Macaulay Committee the right to go forward with regards to this, and the act removed the concept of patronage to appointment of the civil services. There was no concept of appointment. There was now the concept of open competition. So when was open competition introduced in India properly is basically the Charter Act of 1853 via the Macaulay Committee. Now, the report said that the finest people or the fittest people should be taken as ICS officers. And after 1857, the British, now the ICS now started to report to the Crown. And simply an Indian civil services with open competition was now also open to Indians. But the problem is, if you have to go to or give this examination, you would have to go to England. And this is why the Lee Commission and the Islington Commission is important. So, the 1861 Indian Civil Services Act was extremely important because it played with the age which was allowed for Indians to give this examination. So, the Act reserved certain number of covenant civil services. Covenant means British high post services, but examination was only going to be held in England, and the examination was based on Latin and Greek. And you imagine you would have to learn Latin and Greek to give this examination, because Latin and Greek literature used to come in that. Maximum permissible age was reduced from 23 to 22 and to 21 and then to 19. This is why basically the British were progressively trying to simply take away the age so that Indians would have to enter as soon as possible. Now, the Indian Civil Services Act provided that any person, whether Indian or European, could be appointed to any office, provided that he had resided for minimum 7 years in India, and the person had to pass an examination in vernacular language where he was employed. Now, this is very important for a Britisher. A Britisher can only clear this examination if he has stayed in India for 7 years. If he understands India in 7 years, then only then only he can give this examination. There's a very interesting provision in that sense. Thereafter, the same act maintained that civil officers should, the best positions should be there for only Britishers. By this time, Indians were demanding entry into the covenant services, the high post itself. And in 1863, for your purpose, S.N. Tagore, Surendranath Tagore, will become the first Indian to qualify the Indian civil services. Lytton will introduce the Statutory Civil Service Commission, consisting of 1/6 of the post to be filled by Indians. However, it was never actually put into effect. Now, whatever I told you is just for your context. What you need to remember for the examination is this. There are 3 commissions. Please pay attention. There are 3 commissions here. Atchison, Islington, Lee. Atchison says examination should only be in England, and the classification of the services into imperial civil service, provincial civil service, subordinate civil service. And this is the concept which is there in India till today. The concept of UPSC, state PCSC, and SSB. That basically you have 3 different levels of bringing in different type of officers. So this concept of 3-tiered concept is basically based on the Atchison Committee on Public Services and the concept of UPSC, the state PCS, and the SSB, imperial, provincial, and then subordinate civil service. But he still says that Indians are allowed in all 3, but with minimum qualification of certain age limits and certain concepts. Then Islington said simultaneous exam should happen in India and in England, and this will be implemented only in 1922, when the first examination will happen in Allahabad and in England, which is London, together. Now I will give you a summary for this, and what you have to remember I will tell you. Further, you have Lee Commission, which technically was Secretary of State should continue to recruit ICS, and he has talked about engineers and Indian Forest Service. But the most important concept is direct recruitment should be based on 50-50% parity. That in the next 15 years, from 1924 to next 15 years, 50% officers should be Indian and 50% officers should be European. And by the time we come to 1945-46, it becomes 55-45. And basically, this was the one which also said that Public Service Commission should be as soon as possible established. Now, what do you remember for the exam? Very simply. AIL, Atchison, Islington, and Lee. Can you put them in chronological order if they come in the examination? AIL. Yes. This says only England. This says England and India. And this says 50-50. And this is the basic question which is going to come. They will ask you to match the provisions. So you will be able to do it. All India Limited, AIL, AIL, AIL. Yes, done. 50-50 means 50 Indians, 50% Indians, 50% Europeans. As I said, don't get caught up anywhere else. All that is for your reference. Enjoy it. But AIL and SLM, if you remember, for feminine commissions. Okay, great. Now, see, this press area, can you give a question on education? I'll give a question together, mix them up. Now, when we talk about Indian press, now here again, technically the Portuguese were the first to introduce any form of press in India. However, what I want you to do here is understand something. There are multiple acts here. Multiple. I'm not joking. Literally multiple acts. Literally. And what is going to happen is when I'm going to discuss them with you, your brain is going to start to overheat. 3 classes for post independence starts tomorrow, which is that multiple acts. Now, the only type of question which UPSC can ask you is basically to put them in chronological order, because obviously they're not asking you what is the provision of the Indian Press Act 1910, this, that, right? So the question which comes, and technically by God's grace hasn't come, but we know based on the old pattern that they will generally play with the concept of chronological sequence. So what I want to do here right now is, first I want to make an acronym with you, so that we can first just basically make an acronym which you can learn, or something, a trick which we can work out. Once that trick is done, then we can enjoy the details in that sense. Can we do that? I want to brainstorm with you so that we can ourselves make a basic acronym, and through that we will learn this area. Whatever happens thereafter is just understanding this basic concept. Now, the first law is called the Censorship of Press Act 1799. Now, I am going to put in the first word, censorship licensing. Now, you see, censorship licensing, and you will very quickly realize why I am telling you that this area is not that type of area. Censorship licensing, Press Act of 1853. So, censorship licensing, Press Act. Then licensing again and registration. Licensing 1857, registration. After registration, vernacular newspaper. Vernacular newspaper. Indian Press Act, Press Committee, Indian Press. Now you see how there are basically multiple. Indian Press Act, Press. Thereafter, Press, Emergency, Press. Last, Emergency and Press. Emergency and Press 1942. Now these are the acts total. So I hope you understand why I gave you a heads up. Now what we do is very simply, Phase Act, banali, leave it like that. Let's add them into a type of an acronym. SELI, CELIP. But now problem is licensing is 2. So L57, Reve, Ne in Pre, M, P42. P42. Now, point is, it's still not worth it, but I'm trying to tell you how to deal with this, which is that there is 1, 2, 3, and you cannot actually find a way better than this to actually deal with this, because there is a lot of acts which are very similar to each other in names. So what I want from you, yes, this acronym needs an acronym in itself. You can't make it CLP, LP, because there are similar words. So you have to make it two words, so that you understand the point. Simple what I'm trying to do with you here is, this is how you deal with this area. This is the only thing which you can expect from this area. Other than that, I can give you an overview of how acts are changing. That is it. That is the only point. This is my way of dealing this area. I'm not asking you to do it in full detail. At least what I want you to do is make an acronym which you are comfortable with, and at least do it once or twice before you go into the examination. The wars now seem much easier to us than this actually. So simple trick, you try to figure out something which makes sense to you, say LEAP 750, whatever the point is. The simple point is, this is what I'm expecting in the examination. Are we clear? Are we clear? Shruti's made a good one. I can push it to you if you want. कॉल प्रेस ले रही थी, वरना न्यूज़पेपर पे यहाँ इंडियन प्रेस में इमरजेंसी टाइप लग रही, प्रेस नीली. Now whatever works for you. Shruti, that's a good one, but it has very multiple presses. You would have to make out the difference. But this is Shruti being ingenious. You can do it. I'm telling you what you need to do in this area. Okay. Not working? No issue. It works for Shruti. Right. Now, when we talk about press in India, once we're done with this discussion, we'll do the mains questions. And if you want, I can have a discussion on mains tomorrow also, not an issue. See, if you can see, basic history is done. What I'm doing is chutmut small topics which technically trouble students, but I'm doing it here in itself. Okay. So, you want to take a screenshot of this? You take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot. Okay. Now, the first printing press in India came by the Portuguese. 1557, first missionary started to now write the first book, which is technically the Bible, which they translated. But now, whatever I mark in yellow, only remember that. So I'm not going to actually touch the sheet if it does not need to go in your mind. Can we agree to that? Whatever I mark in yellow is what you have to learn. Can we agree to this? I'm not going to make it hard for you. I know you are human. I hope you also realize that. Not worth it. Now, first, James August Hickey, Bengal Gazette was the first newspaper which ever emerged in India. He's called the father of the Indian press. It's called Hickey's Gazette sometime. But basically, he was later prosecuted and this paper was closed because he attacked Warren Hastings and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Impey, quite a lot. And that is why Hickey was later deported from India and this press was closed. But it is something which you need to know. First newspaper weekly. Weekly means comes once a week. Is Bengal Gazette. Okay. Well, that is the basic point. Jay, I know that these tricks work. That will help you. Don't have to worry in that sense. Okay. Now, 1792, Bombay Courier and Bombay Gazette were merged to create Bombay Herald. Sayyid ul Akhbar was a weekly Urdu newspaper which was published. Delhi Akhbar was also there. Hindu Patriot was started by Harish Chandra Mukherjee. Indian Mirror was started, editor Devendranath Tagore, followed by Kesab Chandra Sen, Narendra Sen. Now, have I actually put any yellow on this page? No. It means that you just enjoy. Don't have to complicate it. There is a lot of detail which is going to come. Bombay Times, Bombay Standard, Bombay Courier, Telegraph all merged into today what is called Times of India. established by Carey, Ward and Marshman in 1818. 1819, statesman and friend emerged in India as the Indian statesman, which is today called also statesman. Now the UPSC. Now because this is UPSC aspirants standard staple, the Hindu was started in Madras by G. Subramaniam Iyer as a weekly. Later it was made a tri-weekly in 1883 at Kushtinagar, when Kushtinagar was the editor, and Kesari and Maratha were started by Tilak and Kelkar. Can you remember these 2 points? Not first. Pritam, understand one thing. First, learn everything which matters. All this I do it in the end for a very specific reason, because if you don't learn it, you will not be at a disadvantage. What I've given to you till this slide is all important. All of this is for enjoyment. That's it. Now come the acts. And you will see progressively the acts technically. Don't have to learn the chronology also. Don't have to complicate it. Now, what I want you to see very simply is, and the way I'm going to read it to you also is, you see how the British control the press progressively. So in 1799, the first act came, which is Lord Wellesley. Every newspaper should print the name of printer, editor, proprietor. Printing material should be submitted to the secretary of the government before. So it is technically pre-censorship. 1807, it was extended to all magazines, pamphlet, journals. And relaxation only came under Hastings. Again, don't have to learn it. Only the word censorship. Then, in 1823, acting Governor General of Bengal, Licensing Regulation Act, L, licensing. Every publisher should get license from government. Defaulter will pay 400 rupees, very big amount. The press would be seized by the government. Magistrates were authorized to seal unlicensed presses. Governor General has right to cancel the license or call for fresh application. Miratul Akhbar, one of the newspapers with which with Raja Ram Mohan Roy was actually associated, was seized under this whole concept. Again, my hands are here, no yellow other than that. Then, Press Act of 1835. Charles Metcalfe was the one who actually liberated the press. Now, liberator of the press, Charles Metcalfe. Printer, publisher need to give a precise account of premises of a publication, requires similar declaration to cease functioning. Simply, they are asking for more and more information progressively. Thereafter, Licensing Act 1857, obviously 1857 has happened. Act 15 reintroduces licensing regulations, prohibition for keeping and using printing press without a license. Government reverses or reserves the discretionary right to grant a license. Government is empowered to prohibit publication and circulation of any printed material. So technically 1857 shock to the British, and they now say Metcalfe had lost his mind. There is no point in that sense. Licensing 1857. Registration Act 1867 replaced Metcalfe Act and was a regulatory but not restrictive in nature. Every book newspaper was required to print the name of the printer and the publisher and the place of publishing. A copy should be submitted to the government within 1 month of publication of that book. Again, this much information I don't even want to learn. Why would I ask you to learn? Now, phase between 1868 to 1919, the rise of the Indian press, and basically how Indian press was now becoming more and more critical of the British. Therefore, too many manifestations. Colonial Raj and the Company Raj will try to stifle press. And on the other hand, criticism and opposition will emerge after 1868. Obviously, early nationalistic bodies and now proper criticism. Jallianwala Bagh massacre closes this stage with basically press divided sharply on what to call as crime, what to call as outrage. But simple point of the matter is proper criticism is happening all across. Now the British don't like how the press is emerging. Thereafter, the worst act of all, which is called the Vernacular Press Act, Lord Lytton. Any press, technically vernacular presses were criticizing the British. So now the British came down on the vernacular press quite a lot. Magistrate could authorize to ask any publisher or newspaper to give assurance to not publish anything threatening to public peace and security. Fixed amount to be paid as security guarantee. Magistrate decision was final. No exemption for any vernacular press. This law was not applicable to Indian press. And Ripon, who is considered a little bit better as a viceroy, basically took away or repealed this act. Everybody is following me till this point. I hope you're not finding this futile. It's not futile. Just see how the British are progressively simply creating control over the press. Thereafter, Som Prakash stopped by this act. S.N. Banerjee became the first Indian journalist to be imprisoned. The Bengali S. Banerjee had criticized a Calcutta judge. Bal Gangadhar Tilak will also get actually arrested under this concept of the Vernacular Press Act very soon. Thereafter, the Newspaper Incitement of Offences Act. If any newspaper found enticing offences, crimes or murders or any act of violence, this act will put end to existing license. Now tell me one thing. Why in 1908 they are talking about violence? What is the parallel thing which is happening in India at this point of time? Yes, first Swadeshi and then revolutionary activities. Because revolutionary activities are happening, they are technically trying to say nobody is going to glorify the revolutionaries. So district magistrate can actually confiscate the printing press. 15 days will be given to go to court. The police is empowered to attach printing press as a warrant. And Yugantar, Sandhya and Bande Matram. These three will technically stop under this whole concept. Thereafter, Indian Press Act 1910. It now empowered the magistrate to require a deposit for the keepers of the Indian press, publishers of newspaper. Local government could ask as much as 500 to 2,000, very big amount. And you could also be asked to give 1,000 to 10,000 rupees as a penalty. Very big amounts at this point of time. Further, it imposes, or what is called seditious publications are not allowed. 350 presses will be penalized. 40,000 pounds is going to be demanded from the newspapers. Because security deposits were not there, 130 newspapers had not even properly given any security, but they were also stopped. And Punjabi and Hinduvasi will technically write heavily against it, and they will later be closed. Thereafter, Press Committee 1921. Tej Bahadur Sapru was the committee member. This committee is technically Congress committee, and it is based on abolition of the 1908 and 1910 Act. So remember Tej Bahadur Sapru committee. Then last two, which is Indian Press Emergency Act 31. Main feature of the act was, now listen to this line and you tell me why the line is there. Any publication directly or indirectly admired the offences of any person, real or fictional, the government could seize the press. You tell me, who are they referring to? Very good. Bhagat Singh. Basically, if any newspaper writes something good about Bhagat Singh, that press could be closed. This is the level of hatred which Irwin had against Bhagat Singh. That any press, if it says or admires a person, it can be closed. So you see the level of the British being so nitpicky that they will not allow things to be published in that sense. Now, 42, during Quit India, journalists' registration was mandatory. The limitations were on messages of civil disturbance and civil disobedience. Publication of news on acts of sabotage were not allowed. government authority to go for censorship. Now, for your purpose, the governor generals who were bad for press and governor generals who were good for press. Now, you tell me, a logical, a smart student is going to learn this or this. He will learn one or two. He will learn two because there are four only. And if you learn this, you automatically cover everything in that sense. Lord Hastings, Metcalfe, Macaulay, Ripon. There are only four. Don't learn the bad ones because bad ones is a bigger list. Rather, only learn the good ones. And basically, if you learn the good ones, you can eliminate in the examination. Yes? Is this okay? Is this perfect? And with this, we technically finish whatever we had to do. All of this is for your reference. And we have now covered everything which is major. Now, a lot of you want Congress sessions. You like Congress sessions quite a lot. So this is a list of Congress sessions. Again, I have never asked you to learn it. All Congress sessions which are generally important, I've already covered. For example, Benares, Calcutta, Surat, Lucknow Pact, Lucknow session, Ramgarh session, Varda, we've discovered that. But again, for your satisfaction, I'm here. Satisfaction, all major sessions are there and their presidents are written in front of them. Now, do you need to learn it? But do you want it? So it is there. Never have to learn this. Don't have to learn each and every. Do not learn. Do not learn, but for the curious ones, it is there. Now tell me one thing. With this, we technically finish everything. With this, we technically finish everything. And our modern India is done. Modern India is done. Shivam has sent an acronym for you. So I'll make it public if you like it. Yeah. Now, tell me one thing. Before I technically don't want to clutter. I can do mains previous year questions tomorrow. First thing also. First thing I need to understand with you is before I do anything. Is this making sense? Did modern India make sense to you? Because tomorrow we do previous year questions and then we pivot towards post-independence. Post-independence has a totally different purpose in that sense. But what is my biggest request to you is simple. We've discussed this. I have to discuss only 5-6 questions with you. Please understand this. My biggest request, I will not continue. I know it has become heavy. I told you press is going to do that to you. Now, please listen to me. First and foremost, don't be scared of history now. I hope that much fear I've removed from you. Second, it is not, I hope you've realized one more thing, is history is not about dates. It's not about facts. It is about concepts. There is much more to this whole story than actually just learning dates. I have tried to give you tricks as much as possible. Prelims is not based on facts, but prelims is actually becoming more and more conceptual. And my biggest request to you is going to be simply do the PPT. And if you follow the 15 minutes rule, you will be able to easily cover everything. You have a lot of time. Most of you are 2024 with 365 days there. You can easily make a set plan. History is like a pizza. Never ever simply try to shove the pizza down together. Systematically divide it into pieces and you will be able to understand. I'll tell you 15 minutes rule itself. The simple point is that 15 minutes in the morning and evening, learn certain facts. You will conquer all facts within 1 to 2 months. That is for sure. So now my biggest point is don't overthink. Don't with you. This is not my last class with you. I will see you tomorrow. And on Saturday, we have an extra class. The SME is going to push a text to you. Saturday is our extra class because if you remember first class, there was a glitch for which we lost close to 45-50 minutes. So on Saturday, 7 to 10:30 a.m. I will see you. Tomorrow we start with previous year questions, and which is mains, and we will do post independence. Post independence on Saturday, and on Monday you will get independence from me with regards to the last class of this whole set. 3 modules for post independence. I will tell you what is the purpose itself, but I hope everything made sense. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow, but I hope modern India is clear, because as a teacher, it technically is very important to know that when I'm technically teaching you something, conceptual clarity should be there. And if conceptual clarity is there, facts are secondary here. I gave you a trick for all the wars. You saw that technically don't even need to learn the dates. You technically don't even need to learn the dates of basic things. Master timeline, make it 2-3 times, try to practice it, and you will conquer it. So thank you. I leave you 5 minutes early for the webinar. If you don't have a question, thank you. Take care. I will see you for the third last time tomorrow, then on Saturday, then last time on Monday. Modern